St. Clair's an ominous lake as far as the season goes. It was one I looked at from the start of the year and said, you know, everybody's gonna catch them. You have to catch them there. This is how I survived St. Clair. The thing about St. Clair, it almost feels like luck. It feels like you were playing scratch-off tickets. You'd see a dot out there, that's your scratch-off ticket. You scratch it off, throw it out there. Oh, 4.5, I won. Throw it out there. Oh, 3-pounder, I didn't. So it's just kind of luck if you get those bigger bites amongst all those 3.5s, you know, 3 3/4 pound fish. Because the fishing's really, really good. Don't get me wrong. It's just hard to separate yourself and catch a little bit bigger bass. So the tournament started. I ran about 3 or 4 miles, stayed in Anchor Bay, and day one was pretty good day. I caught, I don't know how many fish I caught, 50, 60, a ton of fish. And it was nice because Anchor Bay was crowded on day one, but it wasn't that bad. Like, it was, the area I fished, I was essentially the only one on it. It was a couple acres, had a group of fish. I'd drift around pretty much at will, fish where I want to. And there's some groups of boats kind of scattered through it. But as the day progressed on day one, you could actually hear some of the local guys up there, they'd call their buddy, like, hey, they're biting in Anchor Bay, you know, come on up here. And by the end of the day, there was 100 boats in Anchor's Bay. Didn't get a ton of footage on day two. My marshal was a great marshal, and every time we got out of the way, we got a little blockage of the camera. So couldn't see a lot of those fish I put in the boat. But day two was still a good day. You know, 50 plus fish, 21 pounds. Then we got to day 3. Day 3, the fish were hammered. I mean, there's no way around it. By day 3, I think the entire field pretty much was in Anchor Bay, except for 1 or 2 guys. And that all 50 of us, and there's 150, 200 locals in there. It was hard to fish. That's it. I was just running, trying to drift. I had to run back up, get between boats, and make a drift kind of down through everybody. It was a pain. The wind was blowing 25. It was just hard fishing. I was using active target front-looking sonar to catch most of my fish. So when that wind got to blowing, it makes your trolling motor bounce around. Your trolling motor's not even in the water half the time. So I couldn't see a lot of those fish on my front-facing sonar on my active target that I've been catching on day 1 and 2. So it just made it a tougher day overall. So every day at St. Clair, I started cranking. And I catch a limit on a crankbait pretty much every day, just a Yo-Zuri 3DB 1.5 deep diver. I was using Lowrance active target most of the time to catch fish, but in the mornings the fish they weren't sitting right where you could see them. So I would start every day throwing a crankbait, just covering water. I mean, I say covering water. I was just drifting in a couple acres, but I was throwing a crankbait to just make a bunch of different casts and reel across a bunch of fish. Smallmouth cranking is unique. In largemouth cranking, anybody in the South, your bait has to hit the bottom. Well, smallmouth cranking, especially St. Clair, if your bait ever hits the bottom, you're not catching it. You're gonna have green slimies on it, the fish aren't gonna eat it. So you use a crankbait, like I was in 12 foot of water. I stayed close in Anchor Bay. Like if you watch the tournament, a lot of people are in Anchor Bay, but Anchor Bay is about off 12 to 13 foot deep. So this crankbait goes like 8 foot. So this crankbait will come across the top of that little bit of vegetation. It doesn't ever touch it. It just comes through a water column and smallmouth will shoot up and eat it. And that's kind of the way I started my day, every day, just to get a limit, catch some fish, get the day started. Not only my key bait, but everybody's bait at St. Clair was pretty much a drop shot, is what everybody did. I was using a 3/8, some people were using a half, but a drop shot was probably the best way to catch these fish, because there's that fuzzy grass on the bottom. When your weight landed on the bottom, it'd keep your bait up out of that grass. I used minnow style baits, this is Zoom Super Fluke Jr. The unique thing about the drop shot bite there was that if you watch the videos, a lot of the catches I have, you see one on your front facing sonar, right? And it's 12 foot deep. They're, suspended a little bit, maybe a foot off the bottom. When you throw at those fish, normally drop shot fish, you throw to them, they might chase it to the bottom, you shake it, drag it a little bit, and then they'll eat it. It was unique there. I don't know if it had something to do with the grass or what it was, but the fish would immediately eat it. Like if you threw it was 12 foot deep, if you threw your drop shot with that 3/8 or half ounce weight to the fish, they'd shoot up off the bottom, 6 feet off the bottom, and catch your bait. And if they didn't catch it before it hit the bottom, essentially you didn't catch them. You were better off reeling it back and making another cast to them than you were trying to fish it and make them eat on the bottom. I might have caught 1 or 2 the whole time actually dragging it on the bottom. Majority of the fish would catch your bait, 5 foot deep in 12 foot of water when it landed. St. Clair is kind of a unique animal. It's has no topography. There's literally nothing. Most northern smallmouth lakes, you're looking for rock, or you're looking for bait fish, or you're looking for something. St. Clair essentially has the topography of a mud puddle. It's nothing. It's just dead, flat bottom. Every mile it might change depths a foot. and it's got this little fuzzy grass on the bottom, and you're just looking for groups of fish. The fish will find a 2 to 10 acre area, and they just like that area. And they roam around in that area, feed them crawfish, perch, whatever. So it's mostly to find them there. You just literally get out there and drift and try to run into that right area. I was in second AOI because I had a bad run at Sabine, so I just had to do well. Like, it was one of those tournaments where I'm not real confident at St. Clair, and I just had to catch some fish. So getting up there, I didn't want to take huge risks, but I was in second in points, so I needed to catch them pretty good, you know. So the way St. Clair works is you don't run around, you don't hit a lot of spots. You find groups of fish, and you can literally sit on one group of fish the entire week. And my goal was just to survive St. Clair on one group of fish, or two, just have an area that I could catch bass in.